Okay, today on YQG and Bloom, I'm really excited that I have 3 lovely ladies from the Windsor Essex County area that are all brewers, which is kind of rare in our society. First of all, my name is Tracy Martins, and I have with me Tammy Joho, and I have Vanessa Pillon from Kingsville Brewery, and Ellie Gurdebeke from the Beerded Dog. Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us. Yeah.
First of all, we're known as the wine area, the distillery area, but we're really coming into the craft beer era in this area. Like, how many do we have?
12 or 13.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, I'm new to craft beer, so I just will go into LCBO and, oh, that's a pretty label.
Yeah.
So I honestly had no idea on how to prepare for this episode because this is an area that I have no clue on how to do. So I figured we're just going to wing it. I know that you guys did bring some beers with you. If you don't mind telling me which ones we have, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, well, I'll start. So over here, on this end of the table, there's actually 2 cans on the table, but the yellow label, that is a beer that the 3 of us actually brewed on Women's Day with some other women in the fermentation industry. So that one, it's a lager. It's a German style lager, but it's a little bit darker and higher ABV. And like, what's really fun is that we tried to bring in the different aspects of fermentation. So it's a beer, but it's got botanicals from the distilling side. And then part of it was also aged in a wine barrel. So I don't know. I think it turned out well.
I think it turned out really well.
Yeah. And then the one next to it from the Grove is a beer that we did a couple months ago. It's a lavender lime Kolsch.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we brewed it for the Lavender Festival that they do every year at North 42.
Yes.
So that's what I have to offer.
Yeah. I brought 2 beers. The first one I brought was our hazy IPA. So it's a New England style IPA. So very juicy, fruit forward, lots of hops. That was one of the first beers that I actually got a chance to kind of tweak with the recipe. Myself and our other brewer, Mac, worked together on that recipe, kind of tweaking it as we go along till we got to the point where, I mean, it's a no boil beer, which doesn't happen very often.
No boil?
Yeah, so basically we bring it up just enough to boil it to kill off any microbes, but we don't do the full 60-minute boil. We cut it, we don't add hops, and then we immediately transfer it to the whirlpool and cool it down. And that lets us get it to be extremely hazy. So that was actually Mac's idea. But
that sounds really...
it saves a lot of time.
Saves a lot of time.
You go from boiling for an hour to boiling for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you cut your day by a lot.
Yeah.
I might steal that idea.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the other one that I made, this is the one I made on my own. This is my first time brewing at Kingsville. Before this, I did quality at Muskoka. So for me to be able to actually brew, I said, Women's Day, we're doing one with the Grove. I was like, but I want to do one here at Kingsville. So they said, yeah, go for it. So I said, I like yuzu and I like saisons. So I made a yuzu saison. So yuzu is a Japanese fruit. It's a citrus fruit. So it's kind of like a cross between like a lemon, lime, mandarin orange. And then saisons tend to be peppery, a little bit herbal, so like thyme.
Oh, that
basil.
Sounds really
very,
interesting.
very light. Yeah. So that was my first brew, and I released that one on International Women's Day. So it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't wait to try that. And nothing better than a spicy citrus.
Especially on a hot summer day. Ooh,
Yes.
It's perfect.
And Ellie?
So the Women's Day collab, Tammy already mentioned, so I brought another can of that because it's delicious and I love it. So, and then the other one I brought is a recipe that I developed kind of coming into the spring. It's wee heavy Scotch ale. So it's a little bit higher alcohol, it's 6.5%, and it has wood chips that I soaked in whiskey. So it's a little bit darker, and it's got a lot of strong kind of higher alcohol notes, like a bourbon barrel almost, right? So vanilla and oaky. And
growing up, you had your beer, your ale, your lager, none of this extra stuff. And I just find it fascinating. And it's so nice and refreshing, which you never really had a refreshing beer. You had to really have a taste for it, and now you can have sweet, sour. What is the difference between the various types of beers, ales, lagers? Like, I've never knew what an IPA was until I looked it up today.
I mean, there's two classes. You can break it down basically ales and lagers. And then from there, you can go deeper. So you have different styles of lager. You have your like, we brought this here, the German style lager. And then you can have like your crisp, clean American lager. You can go to the ale side. That's where you get your cream ales, your IPAs, your anything dark. It all depends on how it's fermented.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically, like, there's two major strains of yeast that we use, because when you're brewing beer or like even wine or distilling, you're using water, grain or malt, yeast, and then we use hops. So basically, it's like those are your four ingredients. So when you're using yeast, it's either an ale strain or a lager strain. And basically, ales are fermented a little bit warmer temperature, and so they tend to finish a little bit quicker and they turn over faster. Lagers are usually cool fermented, and a lot of that came from colder climates, like develop these beers. And so they would like brew something and then they would stick it like in a basement for 6 months or whatever. That's kind of the main difference. They just take a little bit longer, and they're usually, because they take longer to ferment, they sort of clear a little bit better. So that's why lagers tend to be like the mass produced ones that you see, because those are all like the really clear beers, or, you know, a lot of people call them water, but, you know, no judgment.
Hey, it all depends on the mood for me.
So like, and I'll just say, like, as she was saying with the Women's Day beer, it's a Maibach, which normally comes out in May, but so in Germany they would brew it like in the winter and then ferment it over however many months, and then it would be like released or whatever, drunk in May as like a spring celebration. So it takes that long to get it right.
That's okay.
Yeah. We cheat a little bit, but, you know, because we don't have that time.
Hey, if it works, who cares?
Yeah.
So which one are we going to open?
Which one do you want to open?
Yeah. Well, we definitely have to do the Women's Day.
Do we want to maybe end with that one? Because I think that's the highest ABV. So
Yeah, it's like 12%, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's around like 8.
Or do we want to start with that one?
I mean, either way, but yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, like,
well, what would be a good starter one? If somebody walked in and they said, "What's a good starter beer?" I don't know what I like.
I'd say
Which one would
the
you
lightest,
suggest?
right?
The Kolsch or the Yuzu?
Yeah, the Kolsch or the Yuzu.
see, I would almost say the hazy, just because
It's light.
it's not
fruity.
super bitter. It's fruity.
Yeah.
It's light, but like, either of those three. Any of
start
those
with the
three.
hazy.
So yeah, okay, let's do it.
You gotta do that.
You do it. You pour. And so IPA just stands for India Pale Ale. So that's just a style of beer. But that's kind of how the craft beer industry like sort of boomed, was way back when people were legally allowed to start home brewing. Everyone was just like doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and then hop production became more interesting, I guess. And so people were just like throwing hops into beer, and usually IPAs are very like they can be very bitter, which comes from hops, or they can be like juicy, fruity, floral, whatever, and that all comes from hops. And so that's why they're usually like very hop heavy. So yeah,
This one really, it is hazy.
Yeah.
I like it.
So we don't add any hops in the boil.
Oh my
so
goodness.
usually boil hops will give you more, depending on when you add them in the boil. If you add them really early, that's when you're going to get a lot of bitterness. If you add them late, you're going to get no bitterness. We didn't add
It
any.
smells fruity.
Yeah.
I like the smell.
what kind of hops do you use?
Citra, Mosaic, Galaxy. Love Galaxy.
Cheers.
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 I guess we should have done that.
This is really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's not as hoppy as people like to say, as you think it would be. So it's nice that it's more of the characteristic side of the hop that's like the aromas. Whereas if you go West Coast style, you'll get a lot more of that bitter.
Yeah, I'm
cloying,
not a
drying.
fan of too much bitter.
Yeah.
Although I was at down in Amherstburg during open air at Lot 10, and we got a flight, and they're like, "Well, which ones?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what kind of beers you guys have. So they gave us a fruity one and then a sour cherry. I don't like sour. I drank that all on them. On my husband. I'm like, okay. I took a sip and I'm like, this is actually really good. So it's opened me up to the fact that I'm not going to judge until I try from now on, which I like having the flights now so you can try them all.
With craft brewing, it's like, I almost say it's more, there's more breadth to it than wine, right? Because of the diversity that you're allowed to have between the styles. So even if you don't like beer, like your dad's garage beer, you're probably going to find something that you can drink.
Okay, now I did want to ask you guys, how long have you been brewing?
I have been brewing, I guess, like 7 years. So like a lot of people, I started at home, home brewing. And kind of like Ellie was saying, what's nice about that is that if you like a beer, then you can just make it at home. Or if you don't like anything out there, you can make your own thing. So like you really get to be creative. So I started home brewing. I worked at a homebrew supply store where we sold like ingredients and equipment. And I also made wine as part of my job. So I did like a little bit of both. And then I went back to school to do brewing science. And then I got a job in this area, like right during like the pandemic. So like I was surprised anyone was hiring, but it was August of 2020. So we moved here and I've been in this area now like 3 years.
So there's an actual course?
Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of schools now are doing 1 or 2 year programs, and some there's been some that have been around for a really long time that are more very intense into the science, but like UC Davis has been around for a long time, graduate level, undergrad. It's kind of hard because you have to be a certain age depending on where you live, to like do those courses.
Yes.
But yeah, I did a program. So yeah.
And Vanessa, you're new?
Yeah, so I started, I've been in the alcohol business. It'll encompass everything. I started at a winery, really. I was working the tasting bar there. And I was like, yeah, I like this. I like fermentation. Like, this is kind of cool. Then I was in school for chemistry at the time. And then I ended up doing my technical research project with the winery that I worked at, of like basically testing sulfites in wine. And then working to, develop a method on one of my instruments, because our instrument didn't work at college, so we had to fix it. And so
that never happens.
No. So then after that, I ended up, before I graduated, I got brought on to Hiram Walker's on contract there. I did quality control, and I worked in barrel maturation. And then from there, I went to Muskoka Brewery and did quality control. So at that point, I have done the trifecta of alcohols. And then came back down to Windsor because I have family here, and I needed to be with them due to health issues that they were having. So I came back down, went back to Hiram Walker's, and then discovered I really miss brewing. And so I went up, and Kingsville Brewery was hiring, and I applied, and they took me on. Since then, I'm actually working on getting my postgrad and my master's in brewing and distilling. So that basically is through a university in Edinburgh. It's all online, and it's pretty cool.
Too bad you couldn't go there.
Oh, I will. I have a 2 week to get the master's. You have to do like a 2 week. They changed it since COVID, so it's optional. But I mean, like, why wouldn't I take the option to go to Scotland? Come on.
Shucks.
Man, I have to go make some beer in Scotland. Like, what else am I gonna do with my life? So
It's a rough one there.
yeah, no. So school starts next week, and part-time school, full-time work. Great.
Nice. You're going to be busy.
Yes.
And you're just hitting your 1 year?
Yeah,
Or?
I'm like a year and 4 months or something like
Wow.
that. Yeah, I'm like brand new.
But you've come far. So,
I've definitely landed, I think, at the exact moment where I was supposed to be, kind of at every step. So I'm really grateful.
yes, because you've won awards.
We had the local Masters of the Burniverse Festival in April, and I got second place, which was really cool.
And that was in the People's Choice?
Yeah, and then I got actually first place in the People's Choice too, which is really like,
That's huge.
Usually
So
heartwarming.
don't diminish that. That is huge. People's Choice, I mean,
I was pretty
everybody
happy.
likes it.
I think that's,
I think that's more the
that's
one.
a better one.
But you don't get the
that means
belt
the
with the
people.
people.
Yeah. But there's like only like 4 professional judges, so it's like, okay, but then hundreds of other people
Exactly.
Yeah.
voted. Yeah.
The people that buy the beer, not the
That's
judges.
true, actually, yeah. And since then, it's been on tap at the brewery, and it's proved to be one of our more popular beers. So.
And which one was that?
It's this slush puppy sour. So it's blue.
Oh, sour.
Yeah, it's blue raspberry, and it's blue, the beer. So it's meant to look
I need
like,
to try that one.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. But
And you won awards last year at
Yeah.
the Brewniverse.
Malibu Barbie.
Yeah.
It's 80s themed. I feel like we need to point that out, but it's
Yes.
an 80s themed competition. So yeah, Malibu Barbie.
points for nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And then you also did the Rose.
Yep. So that was, like a year and a half ago, we did the Women's Day Brew in March 2022, where I was at. And Vanessa hadn't gotten to Kingsville yet. And I didn't know Ellie, but I did it with 3 winemakers and a distiller in the area. And then after that, Ellie contacted me and said she was interested in learning how to brew. And so she came and like shadowed me for a couple days at work, and then kind of moved down the road to Harrow.
Dived in head first.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah.
Best way to learn.
Yeah.
Is when you have no choice.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
This is amazing what you guys do. Now, is there a lot of women in this industry in this area?
In this area, I think you're looking at the 3.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
Outside of the winemakers. but
Outside the
yeah.
winemakers, we are the only 3 female brewers in Windsor and Essex County.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
My take is mostly just that we don't have very many breweries, and they're all pretty small. So a lot of them are like one brewer kind of operations. So
Okay.
there just isn't room to get hired anywhere because there's just not a lot of space. But I mean, since I moved here, now it's like tripled, right? So I don't know, like maybe we'll see more. But yeah, definitely a lot more female winemakers.
Yeah.
A lot of female winemakers, which I didn't know, but every time I talk to someone, there's like someone else that they know. And, you know, I feel like most of the wineries are run by women currently.
Which is a good
seems
thing.
like.
I like that. Now, you are part of the Pink Boots Society.
Yes, I think we're
we
all
all are.
members. Yeah.
Okay. And what is that?
Basically, well, it's like a professional organization.
Okay.
And they basically exist to inspire and encourage women in fermentation. So that's any sort of fermented beverage. And basically it's networking, it's
Scholarships.
yeah, they do scholarships, they do
Education.
webinars. Where we are in Canada, we're not able to have like local chapters. So if we were in the US, let's say, most places have a local chapter, and so they would have like meetings and do their own kind of programming. We're Canada wide, so it's kind of everything's virtual for the most part. But it's really just to like connect women. And I know that I've benefited a lot just meeting women in the industry. And if I have questions, or if I'm in an area and I'm like, oh, hey, does anyone work here? You know, like, can I stop by? And, you know, that kind of thing, and meet up. So
it's not just Windsor that has a small amount of female brewers. It's all of Canada.
I think it's about 1 in 10 is a female brewer. I think that was the statistic I read.
Well, I think we need to get that raised a little higher.
But like all of Canada has like 150 Pink Boots members. Total. And there's some chapters in the US that have 150 members, you know, so like we're always trying to like, you know.
I do understand there is a lot that goes into it. I mean, with the chemistry and the fermenting and all that. But when you're talking about, well, this one has this and that, it sounds like recipes. And you'd think that women would gravitate towards something where you can really play with a recipe to get a really good flavor.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get more of them out there, because what you guys brought, they all sound 100% amazing.
It sounds like you want to try something else.
I think we do. I think we need to try another one. It's Tuesday.
Or no,
it's Wednesday. Oh my God.
I thought it was Friday today, so, you know.
Oh, oopsie.
Yes, yeah. Let's do the lavender.
Oh,
Okay.
Good choice.
That smells really good.
Oh, it does. It's
fantastic.
very.
We've done a couple beers now with like kaffir lime leaves, and I don't know why, but it's like the most amazing smell ever, because it's like the leaves that they use in curry, and
You really get a lot of the lime.
The lavender, you can taste it.
yeah.
Good job.
It doesn't. This is amazing. It doesn't even have a beer taste. If it didn't have the fizz to it,
Right.
like it just
Right.
it tastes like a beverage, not
Or a
beer.
cocktail or something.
This would be good as like a cocktail like mixer.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
Not maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
What can we mix with this? What would you
What's the
suggest?
one that's lavender? Is it? No, I'm thinking of elderflower. Isn't there a lavender liqueur?
No, it's elderflower.
I know.
Like gin, maybe? A shandy.
Shandy would be nice.
Now, how many breweries are in the Windsor Essex County area?
What did you say, 13, I think?
Yeah, I think around 13.
It's hard because they're always popping up. I think there was a new one that just opened in LaSalle, I think like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Paul. And like, I think she and her husband opened it.
Yeah.
So there may be another female
Female.
brewer. I don't know.
Yeah.
She stopped me one day to ask me how to do it.
How to do it?
Yeah, she stopped me to ask me. She said, "Well, do we need to submit every sample we're going to sell to LCBO?" And I said, "No. Like, if you're selling it in your retail only, you just sell it. You don't have to submit to LCBO to get their approval to sell." Which is kind of the nice thing, I think, for a lot of the small breweries. They're able to brew your beer on site, and you can sell your beer on site without anybody else having to tell you, yes or no, that doesn't conform to what we want.
Which is great because then it gives us a huge variety, and it's nice to be able to sell it right out of your own shop and people get a chance to try different things because like these are amazing. Now, are these in LCBO or are they just in your shops?
The hazy IPA is in LCBO.
Okay.
Everything else, I think, is just sold local in our shops.
Yeah. We have 2 or 3 that are in the LCBO, but they're kind of choosy on who gets in. And so we have 3 that have been in there like for years. And so those you can find locally, like at grocery stores and whatever, but everything else is at the brewery.
It gives you a little bit more freedom to maybe change it up next batch or try
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because if you're in the LCBO, it has to
It's
be
Stay
the
the
same every
same.
time.
Constant,
Yes,
yeah.
has to be the same.
And that gets boring after a
Yeah.
while.
Well, most breweries, I think, put like core brands that they know people will be able to be like, ooh, lager. I like lagers. I'll try that. Again, pretty label. I like that lager. I'm gonna try it. So breweries will kind of put their best foot forward in the LCBO, and then you'll see the crazy stuff when you actually go to the brewery.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of just draws people in. You put that pretty label out there, you put that face out there, and then people see that, they identify with it, and then they go, oh, I can just go
Yeah.
local. I can
Yeah.
just go there and try it. Oh my God, there's so much more than the 4 that are on the LCBO shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think probably our prices are slightly
Yes, prices at the
Very
actual
competitive.
brewery are usually better than the price in the LCBO.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I think the first craft beer I tried was from the LCBO, and I picked it because it had a cute label. Because I didn't know. I just knew
pretty much how I still do
normal.
it.
I knew,
Yeah.
normal beers. And my stepdaughter Shelby, she talks about craft beer, and you gotta try this, that, and it
I
was
bought
okay.
one time that just had like cats all over it, and it was like, okay, cool. The beer was not great, and this is when we were in Quebec, but it was like, okay, like
Gotta
they
try
got
it.
me to buy their beer, so
I think mine was Crazy Monkey, but it was like the purple label because I
psychedelic.
liked it.
Yeah.
further what Vanessa was saying too, a lot of breweries, and we do this pretty often, is like we'll have stuff that's only on tap. So it's not even in cans. So if you want to try it, you have to come to the brewery and get a glass of it. And then other ones like the lavender, we do a lot of small batches. So we'll do a few kegs and then whatever's left will go into cans. And so it's very limited. So, when it's gone, it's gone. And we might never make it again, So that kind of brings people in too, because they always want to see like what's new and what's rare and, et cetera. So
Now, do you find that it tastes different on tap than in the can?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
it's like soda, like from a
Yeah.
fountain or like a can.
Like you'll basically you're transferring it from a tank into a keg, and your keg's purged, so you're not getting any oxygen pickup or contact. Whereas when you go from a tank into a can, you have this can open and exposed to the air, and that will pick up oxygen. So oxygen is like the bane of the existence of beer. Like it will make your beer taste like wet cardboard if you get too much. So like you'll see brewers like, we want to have call it DO, it's dissolved oxygen. We want to have that as low as possible. And then we have our TPO, which is our total packaged oxygen. So to ensure that you don't have a lot of oxygen pickup or a lot of oxygen in your beer, you do whatever you can to prevent any sort of atmospheric interaction.
Now, is this something like, are you guys shocked this is the field that you ended up in?
My mom asks me that all the time.
I think it's great. I think it's fabulous that you guys are doing it, but is this completely off the beaten path of where you were headed?
I mean, I don't know where I was headed, but I will say that growing up, like in a family that had some problems with alcoholism, I just thought like, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. And then I'm from the US, so like drinking age is 21. And so I really didn't even try anything until I was 21. And the same, crap beer. Like I lived in the Midwest. It was like Miller, basically. And I didn't really love it, until actually I tried craft beer. But even then it was like, I just like trying different things. And then I thought, well, like I studied science. I really like being creative. I like more of like a manual or manual labor job, where I'm not just sitting at a desk. Yes. And so I thought these things all kind of fit together, and it's just funny now because my older brother he probably wouldn't necessarily be successful in this job because of those things, but I think he's jealous that this is my job, and it's just funny that I'm doing this instead of him, but no, never thought I'd be doing this ever.
No, I went into school for chemistry and I was like, I like science. I'm going to work in a lab. I kind of did work in a lab, did quality control.
A little bit.
And then, I worked at a brewery and I was like, I really like this. There's just a different vibe at a brewery. Like it's very laid back. It's like not like I went from really corporate with the hire and walkers to brewing. And it was like, I don't have to be like so uptight. I can, I'm so used to just go. And now I'm like, wait, stop, make sure it's good, then go.
Well, and you can make variations on your recipe here.
I have more control, I think, of like what's going on.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this tastes good, but let's add a little extra.
Well, yeah, like we did with the hazy. This is good. We can make it better. So I think it took 3 batches to get that actually like where we wanted it. To Tammy's point too, like it's just manual labor. Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Manual labor. I can't say
I like
that
now. Yeah, that's a good word.
I'm a busybody. I don't like sitting. I don't like computer work. I can't.
Which is funny because like at this job, when you do sit down, you're like, oh wow, I haven't sat down like all day.
Right?
Like it's amazing.
My legs.
But other times we'll get people from upstairs that are like, do you need help with anything? Like I cannot stare at my computer anymore. And I'm like, oh no, I don't. But then I'm just thinking like, wow, I used to have jobs like that where you're just like sitting in a cube all day and
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And what about you?
I went to school for TV. So,
for TV?
Yeah, I worked in television industry in Toronto for 4 years.
What did you do?
I was an assistant editor for a reality TV show company. And my husband and I decided to move back home for family, and the housing market was crazy cheap back then. So we moved back, and I worked in retail for a few years.
Okay, we could have a whole other show just on, just on the reality TV thing. That sounds...
tell her which show.
Yeah.
Property Brothers. Yeah. Oh, Wives with Knives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wives with Knives?
Wives with Knives, yeah.
Love that
It's a
show.
murder show.
Yes.
Exclusively female. Yep.
And Property Brothers.
Property Brothers is
I love
another
them
one.
too.
American Pickers. I worked on that one too. But yeah, and then so we moved back home. And then I went on maternity leave. And when I was ready to come back from maternity leave, my job was no longer available. So I all of a sudden had to find a new career at 30. So
that's okay.
Yeah. My family has been home brewers. My great-grandfather was a home brewer, my grandfather. And I've always liked beer. So I just decided to take a stab at something I like.
Hey, sometimes the better jobs happen as you age.
Yeah.
And you can really think hard on what you want to do instead of what you need to do.
Yeah.
And
I love
obviously this is a good fit for you if you're winning awards a year in.
Yeah, I have zero regrets about diving into this because I like being active, and I find like the manual labor really satisfying. I just feel like I'm actually really accomplishing something. Yeah. So that's cool.
It's true.
Yeah. My dad was like a blue collar, I guess, worker. And so like, I think I get that side from him where it's like, I like having tasks, and then I finish the tasks. I'm like, okay, my work is done, and that's it, and then tomorrow is a different day. And, so I like just having like physical things that need
You
to
don't
just
take
get
work home.
checked
You don't need
out.
a gym membership with this job
That's
either.
Oh yeah, man.
There's so much lifting.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no.
It's hard.
So one malt bag is about 55 pounds.
Yeah.
And I think for us at least, we have a big system. So one brew to fill half a tank is usually about 26 malt bags. And I'm short, so I have to lift them really high.
So you got some really
muscles.
Which is all powerlifting.
Yes. We call it CrossFit in the morning.
It's too much time.
Yeah. So they'll walk by sometimes and be like, "Get your CrossFit in today, eh?"
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
They've learned not to ask if you need help now.
No, they'll ask, and I'll say no, thank you, or I'll say yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, are we gonna try one more?
Do you
Yeah.
want to do yours?
wanna do one of yours?
And
Yes.
we'll end with the Women's Day one.
Yeah.
Pretty dark though.
Okay.
That's okay.
I don't need to get wasted.
Don't hate on the dark. It's dark like a pop,
Yeah.
like a Coke or a
It does look
Pepsi.
like Coke.
Yeah. Just like a cinnamon or like a nutmeg.
That's what I thought I
Some
smelled.
spice.
I have done spice beers like for like Halloween for Halloween I did a pumpkin spice, and then I did a gingerbread beer for Christmas. So those ones I actually put spices, but this one there's no spices in this at all.
There really tastes like there is. Okay, I'm coming out there for. Are you doing the pumpkin spice again?
Yes, pumpkin spice is coming out in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
And pumpkin everything.
That's that time.
That's delicious.
thank you. This one I submitted to the Ontario Brewing Awards. So
Oh, amazing.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's happening soonish.
Yeah.
When is that?
I think it's usually in October.
Yep.
Yeah.
Around the Ontario Craft Brewers Conference,
Yeah.
25th and 26th, I think.
Okay.
I think they have to be submitted within like the next couple days.
Yeah.
Have you guys submitted anything or now or in the past?
Yeah, I don't know this year. In the past we have, and our cream ale has done pretty good. Our wheat, we got a bronze. Someone else got a gold. I mean, whatever.
You got the gold?
And your California one too last year.
Last
Yeah.
year we did a small batch steam beer, and that won a gold medal. We typically because there's a cost to send each sample, and you have to send a 6-pack of each sample. So we typically try to either pick the ones that we think are like unique enough that they might do better, like if it's a more obscure category or something that consistently does well, like our wheat or the cream ale. So, but yeah, it's because there's a cost for each one. It's like you don't want to just send everything and then it's like $1,000 or whatever. But did you apply?
Yeah, we submitted, I think 4 beers this one. Hefeweizen, I think we won gold last year and the year before. So we're trying to go for 3 in a row. Yeah, like our lager, I think we submitted our stout. I think we submitted the yuzu.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Did you guys do
You
any?
did this and
Just this one.
Yeah.
Just this one.
Yeah, you get one free entry. So
Yeah.
We'll try this one.
Yeah, why not?
I can't believe for how dark this is, how smooth it is.
You can really taste the oak. Like you get a lot of
It is
vanilla.
amazing.
I like it.
Yeah, a lot of people think dark is like heavy and like
Tannic.
chewy, but it's not.
Back in the day, it was.
Yeah.
It was just that
Burnt.
it left that taste in your mouth. And
Yeah.
I really love how far beer has come in all forms, and the fact that we have women that are now in the industry. And hopefully we're going to be getting more soon.
Hopefully.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Fingers
We have to
crossed.
build somewhere for them to come, I think. Like, create jobs, I guess is what I'm saying. So,
Yeah. Yeah, because like you were saying
Yeah.
too, like most of the breweries in this area are like one man show.
Yeah.
It's not open to be able to hire more people. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's supply and demand. And again, like I think Ellie said, like 10 to no, that was the
1
thing.
to 10, yeah.
1 to 10. Yeah. So for every 10 men that are applying, you're gonna have 1 female.
So it's
Slim.
time to promote it and
Yeah.
get it out there and get them to realize that we can do it too.
Yeah.
I think there's still a bit of a stigma. Like I know every time that I've interviewed for a job, I always say like, well, would you hire a woman brewer, or like what would the work environment be like for a woman? And a lot of times it's either immediate like, oh yeah, no, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Yeah, no problem. and that's not the case. Or they're like, well, I guess, like, I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. And I'm thinking, well, you're not thinking about this. So that is a red flag to me, because it's unfortunate that women have to think about this. Like, what is a work environment like? If I'm working with men, are they going to support me or have my back or help me? Is it just going to be like the bro culture? Is it just going to be sexism? You know, all this stuff. And I think men don't necessarily have to think about that as much. They just kind of fit right in.
It's how it's always been.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking probably about 25 years ago, I went into horticulture, and I was going to go into landscaping, but it was a male dominated. It still is, but there are more women in it. But it's like, you want to do this job, you're going to have to do all, and they would kind of give you all the grunt work, and hopefully this will start to come up like that has.
Yeah.
Because I just love the fact that you guys are making these, and you're making them well, and they're winning awards right off the bat. It's hard, but I think at the end of the day, it's rewarding.
Definitely. Yeah, there's like a sense of satisfaction, I think. I think when the Women's Day beer came out, I want to say Tammy did most of the work on that one, because we all went to the Grove. So Tammy definitely did most of the work on that one, so thank you. But no, there is a sense of satisfaction with every beer that comes out, because it comes out and you're like, yeah, I did that. I milled that grain. I tended to that beer for however many weeks that it took to ferment. Yeah, it's your baby.
Pride.
Well, it's a craft.
Yeah.
That's the craft, and like you're honing it and perfecting it with every time that you do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is we're describing making beer, craft beer, and like you said, it's a craft and it's a recipe and it's honing. They're all just part of being a woman. Why is it so hard to get women to do this when this is all kind of ingrained into us?
Especially when women were the first brewers.
Yeah.
Oh, they were.
If you look in history, women were the brewers. Women did all the brewing.
Oh, we did all the cooking. And
It only made sense.
It was it was like a household chore. It was considered like kitchen.
Couldn't drink the water, so
Whatever.
They
were doing
beer
it while
and
they
that
were
was-
baking, you know? Yeah.
So eventually, I guess it just turned into a men's craft along the way, and now it's kind of slowly evening out.
we got to take it back.
Yeah.
And I think like Ellie was saying, like the craft, and you were saying with like doing all of those little bits and pieces. I think what I find is that anyone can make beer for the most part, but is it good beer? And so there are a lot of breweries that I've, been to in my life where I think, okay, how is this place still open? And the thing is, like, you can hire someone to do all of the lifting and the climbing and the whatever, and do all like the valves,
Slugging.
and just doing that actual task. But when you're creating a recipe and you're trying to figure out which flavors are going to work together, or which hops you should use, and then you do it, and then you do another one and you change it a bit, like that kind of thing. That is difficult. And a lot of people can take a recipe and make a good beer too, but like creating your own thing. I'm sure we all put out beer where we're like, this is horrible, I hate this beer, it's so bad. But everyone else loves it. And so I think just, you're always going to be like your worst critic.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, like putting out something when it is something that you're really proud of and everyone likes it, or it wins an award, you're like, okay.
That feels good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't believe how
quick
fast that went down. Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay, so now
one of my new favorites. That was great.
Thank you.
Now, you said you got the pumpkin coming
Yes.
up. Is there anything that you guys have coming up?
Beer wise, no. We just canned today, finally. People have been asking for it all summer. We canned a pink lemonade seltzer. And we also canned a hop water. So a hop water is essentially just hops. So there's no alcohol, it's just hops and water. A little bit of citric acid to drop the pH, so that way you don't get any sort of off notes or infection.
So what does that taste like?
It's more just the characteristic of the hop, I think.
Yeah. So
Kind of florally, sometimes,
yeah, so like
tropical.
We did a citra-based water, basically. So we use citra hops. Citra hops are known for being, citrusy. Self-explanatory. They're known for being citrusy, so they're very like lemony.
Grapefruit.
Yeah, a lot of grapefruit.
Okay, really quickly for people that don't know, what is a hop?
They're the best part of beer. Basically, like a quick rundown is it is actually a flower, and they can vary in size, but the flowers are called cones.
It's on your shirt.
I have a little hop on my shirt. From the copper hop. And basically, like they grow on these long like vines, and they can be like 20 feet tall. I mean, there's a whole historical, political background to using hops, but when you like break open the cone, they've got these little yellow
Powder.
Resin bits, which is called lupulin. And basically, companies will harvest the fresh hops. They'll kiln them, like dry them out, and they basically like crush them up and blend them into pellets. And then we use those pellets. And so basically that gives you the bitterness and a lot of the aroma. And there's hops that have like any number of aromas.
Yeah.
I mean,
anything from like peppermint all the way to, like you said, tropical.
Some might get
Pine cones.
Artichoke, grapefruit, herbaceous.
Yeah.
So they're all just different variations of
Different
the-
varieties.
Yeah. And I think something that's important to like note, because a lot of people maybe don't know, but like almost every single beer you'll ever drink has hops in it, because you need that for the bitterness to balance out the malt, the sugar in the malt. So some people come in and they'll say like, I don't like hoppy beer. Well, what does that mean? Because
Everything has it.
Right. Some are like really heavily like dry hop, like we were talking about, where it's like you just throw in hops at it. And other ones, it's like, it's just in there at the beginning for the bitterness, and then that's it, and you're done. But some people think, oh, there must be beer that doesn't have hops in it. You know, I want that beer. But
I was making a lager at home, and my husband doesn't like hoppy beer. And I was showing him the amount of hops that I was putting into the brew. And he's like, no, that's just a lager. There's not that many hops in it. I'm like, yes, here is all of the hops.
I brewed 4 lagers over the last 2 days, and there are a lot of hops in that beer.
Yes.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Did you ask him to try making it himself?
I will.
You try making a beer without hops.
Yeah.
See how that works.
So you make your own beer. This will be Ellie's beer.
Yeah.
And
You make your own.
Next time the tap runs empty at home,
Yeah.
I'm pointing the finger at you.
You know?
So are we ready to try the Women's Day?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, I can still speak.
Sure. I mean, I spilled mine, so somebody else.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So speaking of hops,
Explain the label.
Is this hoppy?
it's not. So this is a lager, but what I loved about this beer was that we kind of focused on a famous woman in history. So this is a picture of Hildegard von Bingen, who has the best name ever. And she was a German nun in like the 1100s. And she was really smart, and she knew about like art and science, and she wrote, and she like created music, which if you're ever interested, she has an album called, I think it's 11,000 Virgins. Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting.
All right.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to call this, but
PR didn't let that
got
one
me
through.
towed. It was like, no. But so she was basically one of the first people, or the first person like in history, to recommend putting hops into beer while you're brewing it, because hops are actually a natural preservative and an antibacterial. And so she suggested using them in beer. So we wanted to kind of highlight her. So a lot of this says like women in fermentation in Latin. And then we called it Mizanic because she also created her own language. And so we took 2 different words and put it together that mean hop mother. So kind of like this whole thing. Yeah. And
It's
it's
an
got
ode
hops
to
all over
her.
it. Yeah. And it's got a description of her on the can. And then on the other side, it talks about pink boots and the reason that we do the Women's Day beer. So
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep the can now. It's got the whole story.
Yeah. And I mean, this beer is truly unique, just because, as Tammy had said, like, it's got everything. It's got the distilling side with the botanicals. It was aged in a white wine barrel. And then you had the brewers that got together to create it.
And it doesn't get a full head of foam, and it just kind of goes up and down right
Yeah.
away.
It uses the Pink Boots blend of hops. So we actually, Tammy was fortunate, kind of like, you put a bid in basically to try and,
yeah.
They have their own hops?
they make their own hop blend.
Wow.
So what we did was we got together, thanks to Tammy, and we
year
did a
ago.
hop rub. Yeah, like a year ago.
Oh, sorry.
We did a hop rub. So essentially you take the hops, you smell them, and we picked our top favorite hops. Like, well, we like this one, we like this one, we like this one. Only like a handful of breweries got the chance to do this.
Yeah, in Canada they only pick 5 usually. So
Yeah, so like 5 breweries across Canada got the chance to do this
Yeah.
hop rub. So we did this hop rub. We picked our favorites. We sent it off, and then they tally up the tops that everybody had picked, and then they make a blend. So they blend together like the top 5 hops or something like that, and then it's an exclusive Pink Boots blend of hops. So we use these Pink Boots hops to make this beer for International Women's Day, and it was all women that got to make the beer.
Which is amazing.
So it was, it's
It has a really nice flavor, and it has a kick as soon
Like
as
a
it gets in
warming.
your mouth, and then it goes away. I like that.
I really wish we had the space and time and resources to do all of it in wine barrels, but we didn't. So we just did a portion of it and then we blended it back together. But the one, like the sample from the wine barrel was just like amazing. And I even suggested like, maybe we just like do this as a separate canning or bottling, and that's like the exclusive. And then the rest is
That would be a great
Regular?
idea. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see.
Do it in a glass bottle with the melted wax. And
Yeah.
fancy.
What is everybody's future? Do you ever think of
5-year goal.
no, I mean starting your own brewery or all women run brewery?
I mean, my fantasy was to like
Yeah.
have a commune where we have like a brewery, distillery, and a winery. And then I would also bring in like my baker friend, because that's also fermentation. And then we could just give her all the spent grain. And then we all just sort of like live there and have our own thing.
I would go live there. That would be fun.
And then like the men can come too for like whatever they need to be doing.
the manual labor.
The actual manual labor. I don't know. I think for me personally, I just want to keep learning. I don't want to be at a place where I'm like, okay, I'm just brewing every day and like that's great. I'm always like reading. I'm watching webinars. I'm talking to different people just because I want to learn new things. I want to learn more about like cider and distilling, because there's a possibility that we could be branching into those areas as well. I think, I don't know, I wouldn't say everybody, but I think a lot of people do like hope to maybe have their own brewery someday. So I don't know. That's kind of like on the back burner.
I like the commune idea.
Yeah. There's so much space in this area. Like I drive by farms all the way to work and I'm like, there's all this space.
That's my dream. I will come live there and tend the animals. And
Exactly. Because we need stuff.
Hops. We can grow some hops.
Yeah. Have hops.
Yeah. Right now I'm content, but Tammy, I just keep learning. Like I want to finish my master's.
oh yes, and go to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's down the road.
Now,
And
are you
then-
going to stay there? Once you're there, it's going to be hard coming back.
I mean, I was talking about it today, and our director of brewing, Derek, he said, "Vanessa, you're gonna go there." He's like, "You're gonna find a brewery. You're just not gonna come back." And I was like,
That's okay.
"Maybe ship my dog across. It'll be good."
Right? Yeah.
That'd be the hardest part. No, I think learning, just like Tammy said, continuing to learn, and then I mean, it's always been a thing of like I want my own brewery, but we always make a joke about we're in the wrong business. We should make the equipment versus make the beer. 'Cause
Yeah.
the equipment is all stainless steel. It's all hand like crafted, so it's
Oh,
expensive.
that would be fun to make.
right.
Just pounding it out.
Pound out steel, welding.
Yep.
Again, I always want to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to end up making your own equipment and then making the beer.
Yeah, well, I'll make the equipment for the compound.
Yeah. See, everyone has their job. Yep.
For me, it's just I'm so new at this.
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole universe that I have to earth up right now. Like I don't even know half
you-
of what these ladies do, right?
But you have a really good start, and you obviously are a natural at it because you've won awards. I mean, your first year out, and you can sit there and say, well, but they're huge because they're People's Choice Awards.
Yeah.
So people like what you're making.
So I guess maybe I just want to prove it's not beginner's luck, and maybe I am kind of good at this.
It's instinct. I mean, they're amazing beers. That was probably one of the best beers I've ever tried.
Thank you.
So I couldn't imagine what your other ones tasted like.
Yeah, I wanna get good at it, right? Like I wanna be good.
And as long as you love your job, it's not even a job.
Yeah, and I hope it never becomes like this mundane 9 to 5, come in and brew and go home. Like I want it to be something that I'm still really passionate about in 10 years.
And you said you do it at home as well?
Yep.
Do you guys do it at home as well?
I used to. I live in an apartment now. So I used to when I lived in my parents' house and I had space.
I did, but it's just like when you get busy, it's hard to find the time. So I haven't done it in a while, but
Like when you sit there and you're brewing all day,
Yeah.
you go home, you're just like, I don't want to brew again. I just want to relax.
yeah.
But do you have some of those times where it's like, oh, I got this in my head and I really want to try it, so I'm going to go home and try it there first?
I have that idea, and
Yeah.
I just don't have the motivation when I get home to do it.
I mean, I don't know about these ladies, but if I have an idea, I'm kind of like, let me pitch it at work because then
Yeah.
they'll pay for it. You know, like
yeah,
they'll
true.
get the fun ingredients, you know, whereas I'm limited to whatever I can afford, you know.
And whatever's available too at like the home brew shops.
Yeah, because you can't really get small amounts.
Of the cool stuff.
Yeah, like if you want something really interesting, you know, so it's like,
I think I went and bought frozen raspberries one time because I wanted a raspberry puree.
Yeah.
So I was home brewing and I said, I want a raspberry puree. I can't get it from the home brew shop. So I'm going to go buy frozen raspberries. I'll blend it, strain out the seeds and dump it in. And it worked.
It was good?
It was good. It was a raspberry wheat.
yeah.
Nice.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything like beer-wise that's coming up? Any festivals, or do we have anything like that in the fall in the Windsor Essex County area?
There has been a couple of craft beer festivals in like October-ish.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's happening again this year, but I know like a lot of the breweries plan on Oktoberfest or in middle of September, end of September. So
So we got to start having brewery. Like
Yeah.
we have wine tours. We need the brewery tours.
There is like the barrels,
Bottles
bottles
and-
and brews.
Okay.
Windsor,
Schwappy.
yeah, with tours in Windsor. They have a map and like
You get like stamps or something?
yeah, you get stamps.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a postcard or
Passport.
That's the word I'm looking
Passport,
for. So yeah, you get a little passport. You can go around and get flights at different breweries. There is like I think the Windsor Eats one, like Ellie was saying, in September or October. I think
There's something next weekend or the weekend
the
before.
last call before fall.
Yeah, I don't
LaSalle.
know who all is there, but it's in LaSalle, like at their new convention center thing.
Okay.
It's called Last Call Before Fall, and it just said like
I think
beer
there's
and
only
wine and-
2 or 3 breweries going. So
It's probably
Kingsville
more
will be
wine.
there.
Okay.
I think Top Dog might be there.
Frank
And Frank, I think, are the 3. And then I think the rest is wine.
So is
So,
that.
yeah.
Well, we definitely
starting.
have to get this out. Yeah, we have to get the word out. I mean, this is amazing, and it's growing, like you guys said. We got to get more women into this area and into the craft beer area. And I want to thank you all for being here today. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for sharing this with me. They were all amazing, and I have a newfound love for craft beer. And I am definitely going to have you guys on probably next year before the Brewniverse. Maybe even be there. That would be great because I want to see you win again.
cool.
And my name is Tracy Martins, and I want to thank you guys so much for being here for another episode of YQJ and Bloom.